was never real. I can give up, but what was never real. I can give up, but what was never real. I can give up, but what was never real. Well, thank you all so much for joining me. I'm Willie, forgiveness teacher from the Ozarks, and we're reading out of A Course in Miracles, Workbook for Students, the original edition, here on Saturday, November the 18th of 2023, and we're doing lesson 322. I can give up, but what was never real. I used to tell myself and tell anybody to listen that if something comes to you and you're not sure if it's something you ought to be contemplating or giving your attention to, or you're not sure if it's God's will, let it go. Because if it's real, it'll come back to you. And if it's not real, it was a good thing to let it go. That's what this lesson's all about. I can give up, but what was never real. I sacrifice illusions, nothing more. And as illusions go, I find the gifts illusions tried to hide, awaiting me in shining welcome and in readiness to give God's ancient messages to me. His memory abides in every gift that I receive of Him, and every dream serves only to conceal the self, which is God's only Son, the likeness of Himself, the Holy One who still abides in Him forever, as He still abides in me. And the prayer says, Father, to you all sacrifice remains forever inconceivable. Father, to you all sacrifice remains forever inconceivable. And so I cannot sacrifice except in dreams. As you created me, I can give up nothing you gave me. What you did not give has no reality. What loss can I anticipate except the loss of fear and the return of love into my mind? I can give up, but what was never real. And our associated reading, what is creation? Creation is the sum of all God's thoughts, in number infinite, and everywhere without all limit. Only love creates, and only like itself. Only love creates, and only like itself. There was no time when all that it created was not there, nor will there be a time when anything that love created suffers any change. Forever and forever are God's thoughts exactly as they were and as they are, unchanged through time and after time is done. God's thoughts are given all the power that their own Creator has, for He would add to love by its extension. Thus His Son shares in creation and must therefore share in power to create. What God has willed to be forever one will still be one when time is over, and will not be changed throughout the course of time, remaining as it was before the thought of time began. Creation is the opposite of all illusions, for creation is the truth. Creation is the Holy Son of God. For in creation is His will complete in every aspect, making every part container of the whole. Its oneness is forever guaranteed and inviolate, forever held within His holy will beyond all possibility of harm, of separation, imperfection, and of any spot upon its sinlessness. We are creation, we the sons of God. We seem to be discreet and unaware of our eternal unity with Him. Yet back of all our doubts, past all our fears, there still is certainty. For love remains with all its thoughts, its sureness being theirs. God's memory is in our holy minds, which know their oneness and their unity with their Creator. Let our function be only to let this memory return. Let our function be only to let this memory return. Only to let God's will be done on earth. Only to be restored to sanity. And to be but as God created us. Our Father calls to us, we hear His voice, and we forgive creation in the name of its Creator, holiness itself. Whose holiness His own creation shares, whose holiness is still a part of us. That last little bit. Our Father calls to us, and we hear His voice, and we forgive creation in the name of its Creator, holiness itself, whose holiness His own creation shares, whose holiness is still a part of us. And can't shake it. Even if you let it go, it'll just come back to you. So if you're not sure which way to go, let it go. Sit in the stillness and the calmness and the quietness, and what will be shown to you is exactly what to do every time. Let go and let God. I can give up, but what was never real. If you can let it go and it leaves, it was meant to be gone because it wasn't real. If you let it go and it just keeps coming back to you, that's kind of the obvious sign that God wants you to have it. Okay, I can give up, but what was never real. Our manual for teachers reading today is how should the teacher of God spend his day? It starts off in that first paragraph saying in the manual for teachers, number 16, how should the teacher of God spend his day? To the advanced teacher of God, this question is meaningless. There is no program, for the lessons in the curriculum change each day. Yet he is sure of but one thing: they do not change at random. Seeing this and understanding it is true, he rests content. He will be told all that his role should be this day and every day, and those who share that role with him will find him, so they can learn the lessons for the day together. Not one is absent whom he needs. Not one is sent without a learning goal already set, and one which can be met that very day. For the advanced teacher of God, then, this question is superfluous. It has been asked and answered, and he keeps in constant contact with the answer, capital A, God. He is set and sees the road on which he walks stretched surely and smoothly before him. But what about those who have not reached his certainty? Paragraph 2, but what about those who have not reached his certainty? Well, let's take a pause and we'll come back and read to those that haven't reached the certainty of the advanced teacher of God in just a moment. Let's look at holidays, holy days, and observances around the world today. European Antibiotic Awareness Day, Family Volunteer Day, families making a difference in the community. We had Guinness World Record Day the other day. We've got it again today. I'm not sure what's going on in that. International Games Day, experience the power of play. I always think that we've got the wrong word for our going to work. Our work should be our play during the day for us. When we go to work, it should be doing what we enjoy doing, having fun at it. And if you're not, you need to follow your passion. That's part of God's will. National and International Survivors of Suicide Day. Someone asked me the other day, what about if someone wants to commit suicide? Well, something that we need to recognize is that in reality, all death is suicide, because there is no mover except you, your choices. You might be on a level that you're not aware of, but everything that happens, you're the one that has brought it about. So let's let go and let God. Let's give up those thoughts that are not making us supremely happy. Thoughts of depression, death, suicide. Let them go. Let go and let God. I can give up, but what was never real. Married to a Scorpio Support Day. Scorpios are those that are born from October 23rd to November 22nd. And they don't shy away from the unknown, and they seek meaningful connection, is what I looked up about kind of common about Scorpios if you follow those kind of zodiac ideas. National Adoption Day. We had one of those the other day too. National Apple Cider Day. We're going to talk about apple cider in just a minute. National Princess Day. And I don't know exactly how to pronounce this. It's a French soup. Vichy Sois. National Vichy Sois Day. It's a cold French soup of leeks, potatoes, onions, and cream. Occult Day. Now, occult means hidden, or mysterious, or mystery, or secret, supernatural. So what we want to do is in a way we're studying that which is not clearly seen and known. It truly is, but because of the ego and all of the delusions we've accepted as real, it seems like the obvious is difficult to find. That's why we want to do our lesson every day. Today being, I can give up, but what was never real. Let go of all those blocks to the awareness of reality, the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. So, Occult Day. Playmobil's National Day of Play, and that's a German toy of smiling human figures. Push Button Phone Day. Push Button phones, well, we've come a long way, and that was just in 1963 on this day that the first push button phone came into being in Pennsylvania. Before that, they were those rotary dial phones. Before that, you just picked up and told the operator what you wanted to plug in, and she plugged it into a different switch. And the William Toll Day. William Toll, he was a Swiss folk hero who shot an apple from his son's head with a crossbow, symbolizing his defiance against tyranny and his love for freedom. So a lot about apples today. Apple cider. If you're going to try to make apple ciders, there's a number of ways to do it, but the easiest way is just wash your apples good, crush them, get the juice out, and let it ferment. Usually for about a week. Depends on the temperature, and you can add yeast. You can sterilize it first, or you can just let it do it naturally. Let's talk again about the Stayman Winesap apple, which we talked about early back in January. The Stayman Winesap apple, the reason I like it is it's a nice one to make ciders with. And it's also look what it says about it in edible landscaping. Stayman Winesap trees can flourish without care. Examples of older trees in our area that are uncared for still produce usable fruit. Usually they go into alternate bearing and produce heavy crops every other year when not cared for. Trees are resistant like Arkansas black apples. The fruit can be very large. They ripen early fall and can soften quickly at room temperature, but will keep in the refrigerator for about 6 weeks. Flavor is tart, mild with a crisp texture and very good eating. Excellent taste for juicing and cider blends. It is a favorite roadside market apple in Virginia, developed in 1866 from Leavenworth, Kansas. Stayman does not pollinate other apples, so it is a good trio tree with 2 different varieties planted nearby. Zones 5 through 8, and it needs 800 chill hours. Zones 5 through 8, so all the way through the Ozarks. And she died, another dear heaven waits, she died and is told, we choose this. Near-death experience. It's a 10-minute and 31-second one, and she had a good story, and I just wanted to pass it on. Okay, how should the teacher of God spend his day? Well, paragraph 2, we've already read. The advanced teacher of God, this question is meaningless because he stays in touch with the answer, God. And everything he knows is happening perfectly. And he just steps back and lets God lead the way. But what about those who have not reached his certainty? They are not yet ready for such lack of structuring on their own part. What must they do to learn to give the day to God? There are some general rules which do apply, although each one must use them as best he can in his own way. Routines as such are dangerous because they easily become gods in their own right, threatening the very goals for which they were set. Broadly speaking, then, it can be said that it is well to start the day right. It is always possible to begin again should the day begin with errors, yet there are obvious advantages in terms of saving time if the need for this can be avoided. So he's saying start the day right. Basically, take your morning meditation and do a little reading. I read my lesson every morning and meditate for a few minutes every morning. And that's what he's referring to. You can always start again. Had to move my guitar out of the sunshine. I've got an umbrella set up over me. And just in pausing here, that level stick, and there's the one that the bandana is tied to in the back, is the noon or the one that faced Polaris. And I just wanted to double check it. I'm here in Neosho, Missouri, and at my longitude, it's at, for today, it should have been at 12:02, and I just came out and wanted to check it. So I wanted to make sure the shadow was touching my Polaris mark, just as a double check. So I've got my building line made. That's what I just wanted to tell you that. Paragraph 3. At the beginning, it is wise to think in terms of time. This is by no means the ultimate criteria, for at the outset it is probably the simplest to observe. The saving of time is an essential early emphasis which, although it remains important throughout the learning process, becomes less and less emphasized. At the outset, we can safely say that time devoted to starting the day right does indeed save time. How much time should be so spent? Well, this must depend on the teacher of God himself. He cannot claim that title as a teacher of God until he has gone through the workbook, since we are learning within the framework of our course. After completion of the more structured practice periods which the workbook contains, individual need becomes the chief consideration. Paragraph 4. This course is always practical. It may be that the teacher of God is not in a situation which fosters quiet thought as he awakes. If this is so, let him but remember that he chooses to spend time with God as soon as possible, and let him do so. Duration is not the major concern. One can easily sit still an hour with closed eyes and accomplish nothing. One can as easily give God an instant, and in that instant join with him completely. Perhaps the one generalization that can be made is this: as soon as possible after waking, take your quiet time, continuing a minute or two after you begin to find it difficult. You may find that the difficulty will diminish and drop away. If not, that is the time to stop. Paragraph 5. The same procedures should be followed at night. Perhaps your quiet time should be fairly early in the evening if it is not feasible for you to take it just before going to sleep. It is not wise to lie down for it. It is better to sit up in whatever position you prefer. You can be in a recliner. He just thinks you ought to sit up. You lay down, you tend to go to sleep, don't we? Having gone through the workbook, you must have come to some conclusions in this respect. And I was joking about the recliner, even though I understand that Paramahansa Yogananda used to sit in a recliner often and meditate. I like to sit on a pretty soft chair myself, but ideally it's nice to sit on the floor in a straight back chair. And particularly if you're trying to do Kriya Yoga and get in a touch with your vertebrae. Having gone through the workbook, you must have come to some conclusion in this respect. If possible, however, just before going to sleep is a desirable time to devote to God. It sets your mind into a pattern of rest and orients you away from fear. If it is expedient to spend this time earlier, at least be sure that you do not forget a brief period, not more than a moment will do, in which you close your eyes and think of God. So when you go to sleep, still take just a moment before you go to sleep. Of course, you'll be laying down now likely, but think of God as you go to sleep. Paragraph 6. There is one thought in particular that should be remembered throughout the day. It is a thought of pure joy, a thought of peace, a thought of limitless release, limitless because all things are freed within it. You think you made a place of safety for yourself. You think you made a power that can save you from all the fearful things you see in dreams. It is not so. Your safety lies not there. What you give up is merely the illusion of protecting illusions. And it is this you fear, and only this. How foolish to be so afraid of nothing. Nothing at all. Your defenses will not work, but you are not in danger. You have no need of them. Recognize this, and they will disappear. And only then will you accept your real protection. What's our time frame? Maybe we should not try to get this whole section done today. I was going to try to just barrel through it, but you know what? I think we'll stop there, and we'll read the rest of How Should the Teacher of God Spend His Day tomorrow. I guess we could read one more paragraph, though. How simply and how easily does the day slip by for the teacher of God who has accepted his protection. All that he did before in the name of safety no longer interests him, for he is safe and knows it to be so. He has a guide who will not fail. He need make no distinctions among the problems he perceives, for he to whom he turns with all of them recognizes no order of difficulty in resolving them. He is as safe in the present as he was before illusions were accepted into his mind, and as he will be when he has let them go. There is no difference in his state at different times in different places, because they are all one to God. This is his safety, and he has no need for more than this, to know that God is with him and takes care of all his problems. Okay, well, we'll pick up. We'll read paragraph 7 again tomorrow, but let's stop there for today. I can give up but what was never real. Oh, we do want to look at our lesson once again before we close. So, our lesson being, I can give up but what was never real. I sacrifice illusions, nothing more. I sacrifice illusions, nothing more. And as illusions go, I find the gifts illusions tried to hide, awaiting me in shining welcome and in readiness to give God's ancient messages to me. His memory abides in every gift that I receive of him, and every dream serves only to conceal the self, which is God's only Son, the likeness of himself, the Holy One who still abides in him forever, as he still abides in me. The Holy One who still abides in him forever, the Holy Spirit, and he still abides in me. I can give up but what was never real. Father, to you all sacrifice remains forever inconceivable, and so I cannot sacrifice except in dreams. As you created me, I can give up nothing you gave me. What you did not give has no reality. What loss can I anticipate except the loss of fear and the return of love into my mind? Boy, that's what we want to do. Have the loss of fear and the return of love into our minds. So try to have your morning meditation, and let's reach that place where you can call yourself a teacher of God. Finish the workbook, and you'll have that desire to help others. That's what makes you a teacher of God. You'll become an advanced teacher of God as you keep on your process. I can give up but what was never real. I can give up but what was never real. I can give up but what was never real. I can give up but what was never real. I can give up but what was never real. I can give up but what was never real. What is creation? Creation is the sum of all God's thoughts, in number, infinite, and everywhere without all limit. Only love creates, and only like itself. 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 There was no time when all that it created was not there. There was no time that all that created was not there. There was no time that all that it created was not there. Nor will there be a time when all that it created, all that it created, suffers any change. Forever and forever are God's thoughts exactly as they were and as they are, unchanged through time and after time is done. Unchanged through time and after time is done. I can give up, but what was never real. I can give up, but what was never real. I can give up, but what was never real. I can give up, but what was never real. I can give up, but what was never real. That's just another way in my mind of saying let go and let God. I've been saying that for a long time. I can give up, but what was never real. Salam. Peace. I can give up, but what was never real.